today, and I will start delivering books this afternoon or tomorrow, depending on the response. Um, as for prayer requests, we still need to be in prayer for little Sadie. Uh, Update looks like she's doing okay, but there's still a lot of concerns in regards to the injuries that she suffered, and so be in prayer for her. Also be in prayer for Holly's dad, Gord, as doctors are working towards figuring out the extent of her diagnosis. Um, Lastly, um, if you're a member of or somebody that goes to Countryside Community, you probably know Marshall and Michelle Davy. There have been a string of um, what we could best call tragedies in their life, grandparents passing away, and things like that. So make sure you're in prayer for the Davy family as well. Sorry, if I'm talking quietly. Uh, my wife, my awesome wife, was on a night shift last night, and so she's sleeping upstairs. So I'm trying to keep things as quiet as possible. But anyway, let's get into why we're actually here. I picked a long passage this morning, so I'm going to get right into it. The passage is Lamentations chapter 3. We're going to read verses 1 to 25 with a little break there in the middle. This is what it says. I am the man who has seen affliction under the rod of his wrath. He has driven and brought me into darkness without any light. Surely against me he turns his hand again and again the whole day long. He has made my flesh and my skin waste away. He has broken my bones. He has besieged and enveloped me with bitterness and tribulation. He has made me dwell in darkness like the dead of long ago. He has, he has walled me about so that I cannot escape. He has made my chains heavy. Though I call and cry for help, he shuts out my prayer. He has blocked my ways with blocks of stones. He has made my paths crooked. He is a bear lying in wait for me, a lion in hiding. He turned aside my steps and tore me to pieces. He has made me desolate. He bent his bow and set me as a target for his arrow. He drove into my kidneys the arrows of his quiver. I have become the laughing stock of all peoples, the object of their taunts all day long. He has filled me with bitterness. He has sated me with wormwood. He has made my teeth grind on gravel and made me cower in ashes. My soul is bereft of peace. I have forgotten what happiness is. So I say, my endurance has perished. So has my hope from the Lord. Remember my affliction and my wanderings, the wormwood and the gall. My soul continually remembers it and is bowed down within me. It, this is arguably one of the, I don't want to say saddest, but it's one of the most interesting passages. As you know, both the book of Jeremiah and Lamentations were written by the prophet Jeremiah, and he is known as the weeping prophet. This guy was a prophet during probably one of the worst times spiritually in Israel's history, and he was not at all accepted, and no one accepted his message. He was ignored, he was persecuted for his prophecies, and then he witnesses the downfall of Jerusalem, and it was bad. I mean, this was not just like a corporate merger takeover. This was war, and it was famine, and it was some terrible things. And now, if we were just to read this portion of the passage, it would be a downer of a devotional, probably not one that would encourage or uplift anyone. But we need to read on, and we're going to read starting again in verse 21, and we need to see how the prophet's tone changes. Verse 21, but this I call to mind, and therefore I have hope. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. The Lord is my portion, says my soul. Therefore I will hope in him. The Lord is good to those who wait for him, to the soul who seeks him. Here's the amazing thing about this passage. Jeremiah contributes all of his affliction to God. He understands that God is large and in charge. He understands that God is in control. And Jeremiah knows his salvation comes from God. That's the flip side of the coin. Both he knows that God is teaching his people something through all of this suffering, but he's also in control. And as a believer in God, he has a long view of history. So he looks ahead and he says, "The Lord is my portion. His love never ceases." And remember, church, our life here on earth is short in comparison to eternity. So if it is spent to the last drop in affliction for serving the Lord, then the outcome is still better than if we spent life serving ourselves. God's love never ceases. Our hope is found in Him. Right now, He is better than fame and fortune. And if we have a long view, we look into eternity. And at that point, we can't even begin to imagine the awesomeness of knowing Him. I've been reading a little more now that we've been in quarantine. And here's the funny thing. I got into some books that I've always wanted to read and just haven't read. And one of the books that I read is "Don't Waste Your Life," or that I'm currently reading is "Don't Waste Your Life" by John Piper. And I think at some point where I'm just going to do one of these on books that everybody should read. But it's an interesting it's an interesting read because it really challenges what we live right now. In North America, our the main focus of our society, our culture, is leisure and comfort and getting to the next level and making the most. And I would challenge you to pick up that book and read it because it really re-biblicizes our view of what we should be doing and how we should be living. And it reminds us that, like Jeremiah, our hope is not in these temporal things. Our hope is in the Lord. And one of the things that faith gives is it gives us Christ, and it gives us a right relationship with our God. So hopefully you will read that. Hopefully this is um, encouraging to you, and we will see you tomorrow morning. Have a great day. Bye bye.